Now, the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
It was a beautiful day for football here in East Lansing last Friday as Michigan State's football team kicked off year 2 of the Jonathan Smith era with a win over Western Michigan. There was fireworks and a pregame flyover before the team took the field, and it made for a fun start to Labor Day weekend. This was the 11th time in the last 15 years MSU has opened the season at home on a Friday night. After the defense got a stop on 4th down, the Spartans marched right down the field on their opening offensive drive, and Brandon Tullis runs in the first touchdown of the game and the season. Later in the quarter, the connection between Aiden Childs and Nick Marsh makes an appearance. Marsh, with his first touchdown grab of the year, puts MSU up 14-0 in the first quarter. And in the second quarter, Childs, on the design QB keeper, uses his speed to get to the outside and breaks off a 26-yard run, putting MSU in the red zone. Mekhi Frazier would then finish the job, scoring from 9 yards out. MSU had 130 rushing yards in the first half. It's the most they've had in a first half since the season opener in 2021 against Northwestern. The offense for MSU did go quiet in the second half. Thanks to the defense, there was no need to worry. Jalen Thompson and Alex Van Summeren stuffed Jalen Buckley in the end zone for a safety. Those would be the only points MSU scored in the second half. Western did score on a defensive touchdown as Michigan State picked up the 23-6 season opening victory. Our Kara Adams was there and has more.
For the second year in a row under Jonathan Smith, Michigan State opened their season with a win. The Spartans defeated Western Michigan 23-6.
Proud of the team, finding a way to win a game. Obviously, kind of a tale of two halves, offensively, defensively throughout the night, the effort they played with. Shout out to Ryan Eckley, that punt unit. Jack making his first start as a snapper. That was effective play out of our punt group there. But obviously, the things we want to play more consistently with. I do think defensively, that was pretty good effort and was helped by our crowd. I thought our crowd was great tonight. Energy, student section packed. I mean, it was a great atmosphere, and always appreciate Spartan Nation supporting us like that.
The O-line has been one of the biggest questions heading into this season. And this year's depth on the offensive line is a new improvement from last season.
The O-line set a tone in the run game. Mekhi had a great game. Brandon early with his touchdown run, and the stats show you kind of the physicality and what we want to be able to do in the run game. Want to find some more consistency though in the second half. Still, and that's run and pass. But overall, we did play more than 5 old linemen. You guys saw rotating like we talked about, and multiple backs carried it. Was overall pleased when you got 2 backs with that kind of average yards per carry.
Quarterback Aiden Childs threw for 155 yards and completed 17 of 23 passes. And with that performance, he gives himself a C+.
I could be better, C+. There's things that I can work on. There's things that I need to work on, and just continue to grow each week. But we didn't score, we didn't finish, and part of it is on me. So I'll take it. I'll take the blame. Yeah, C+.
Defensively, senior captain Jordan Hall thought Friday's performance was a good starting point for the defense. They held the Broncos to just 29 rushing yards.
I think this is a good starting point for our defense. Not allowing any points defensively is a big accomplishment, something that we're going to hold proud on to. But like I said, it's a good starting point. There's still a lot of mistakes that happen out there today, a lot of ways we can improve. But as we continue to go through these weeks, that's what we're going to continue to do is improve and try to limit those mistakes as much as we can.
I think a second year in the system, the finer details, having a little bit more in the package this game 1 versus a year ago, I think that showed up. I think both Wayne and Jordan, I thought, played really well without watching, every snap defensively. Communication, flying around. Jordan Hall, you saw him, great job hitting the quarterback, not always sacking him, but those guys getting home on pressures. So there's a lot to like defensively.
MSU gets a week to clean things up before a rematch with Boston College, which is one of the more frustrating games from that 2024 season. In Spartan Stadium, I'm Kara Adams.
One of Michigan State's captains this season is junior linebacker Jordan Hall, who had 8 tackles and 1 sack against the Broncos last week, and it comes after not having a single sack last season. Coming up after the break, we're going to sit down with the captain of the defense, and then later in the show, we'll be talking with head coach Jonathan Smith about this weekend's game against Boston College. We'll see you soon.
When you're shopping, do you get cash back with cash?
Nope.
What about when you use a debit card?
Not a chance.
But when you use MSU FCU's Cashback Plus?
Heck yeah.
Get up to 20% cash back on your purchases with Cashback Plus. Dining out? Cash back. Online shopping? Cash back. Home improvement? Cash back. Discover more at msufcu.org/cashbackplus.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
Michigan State junior linebacker Jordan Hall is one of 5 captains for the Spartans this season. 2 seasons ago as a true freshman, Hall started 6 games, played in all 12 games, and was second on the team with 4.5 sacks. Then the coaching change happened at MSU, and Jonathan Smith's staff brought in veteran linebacker Jordan Turner, leading to Hall having less playing time and recording 0 sacks as a sophomore last season. Our Desharian McBroom sat down with Hall and has more on why the linebacker has always stayed loyal to the green and white.
My uncle kind of introduced me when I was 6. My mom was a little scared, wanted to throw me in some bubble wrap, but that kind of served as an outlet for me when I was younger growing up.
And from there, the sky was the limit for Michigan State junior linebacker Jordan Hall. But his mom wasn't the only person a little worried about Hall starting a football career.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little hesitant too. I was the first time throwing on pads, 6 years old. But he kind of, you're big, you're strong. I think you'll have fun. She's all in it now, but I mean, she's the most supportive woman that I know when it comes to letting me live my life and letting me make mistakes when they come along the road, and teaching me and growing with me.
Last season didn't end the way you guys wanted to with that loss to Rutgers. Do you remember what was kind of going through your head as you guys kind of walked off the field for the last time that season?
I think I know defensively, and I'm pretty safe I can speak this for the team. I think that we made a lot of jumps from the previous year in the season last year, but it's still, as a team, we weren't at a place where we wanted to be quite yet. And so we've taken that feeling of having that disappointing season and what we wanted and kind of carried it through off-season workouts. I mean, every loss from that last season kind of sticks with you a little bit. You're always looking on, things that you could have did better.
You're going to be looked at to be a more pivotal role, in this defense this season. Was that something that you kind of already knew coming into the season, or was that something that you and the coaches have had a conversation about, heading into maybe spring ball and fall camp?
It's kind of just a role that I've accepted. And the coaches have definitely pushed forward and given me their trust to be able to step into that leadership role. It's just something that I'm embracing, and I'm looking forward to leading these guys throughout the season.
Hall was originally recruited by former Michigan State head coach Mel Tucker, and in between the Spartans searching for a new head coach and landing on Jonathan Smith, Hall had a lot to discuss with his family about his future in East Lansing.
So when the whole coaching change happened, it was a hectic time in my life, especially like you were saying with how college football is now. Certain things don't go somebody's way. They're quick and easy to jump in the portal. But I feel like over the course of just a few months when the new staff got here, I'd gained a lot of trust with them and kind of their plan for my future. And that trust has been building over time. This is a place I want to look back 2 years down the line and be able to bring my kids here and, show them this is where I played. I didn't go to this college or this college. I was invested here, and I love it here.
This season, Hall was named one of the captains of the team, and he plans to lead the Spartans through not only his voice and actions on the field, but by discussing with other players the type of legacy they would like to leave when their time in East Lansing comes to an end.
Yeah, I mean, we're building a culture around here that's centered around a brotherhood, doing things the right way and finishing everything. If you're not committed to that, I'll happily tell you that you probably need to find a new place to go. But if you are willing to sacrifice and do the things that it takes, we're more than welcome to have you here. We're looking for people that are bought into the vision that we have of the goals that we know that we can accomplish this year coming up. and tag on along if you're with it.
Michigan State was projected preseason to finish in the bottom half of the Big Ten Conference, and Hall says he isn't the least bit fazed.
Nothing, to be honest. I mean, I could care less about the rankings and the standings. The work that we've put in will show for itself throughout these fall months. Everybody has their opinion, and we have ours and our goals, and we're going to do everything possible to meet those goals.
And the feeling of doing what you love in front of thousands of fans is an unimaginable feeling for Hall every time he steps out on the field.
Yeah, I mean, it's a feeling like no other. Spartan Stadium gets filled to 60,000 fans who not only love the football team but love the university. And so it's an honor and a privilege to me to be able to bring some entertainment and excitement to so many people who just want to see us succeed.
If Michigan State is able to take down Boston College this Saturday, Hall will have a big part in the victory, as will wide receiver Nick Marsh, who did not play in the loss to the Eagles last season. Coming up after the break, we're going to be sitting down with the standout sophomore and talk about his journey to East Lansing and more. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
Michigan State's football team spoke very highly of its wide receiver room throughout fall camp and said it could be one of the more dynamic receiver rooms they have had in quite some time. We saw Amari Kelly shine in the season opener against Western Michigan, and last season we saw Nick Marsh shine as a true freshman and lead MSU in receiving yards. Even with the success of last season, Marsh remains humble, and he shared with me recently where it all comes from. Before wowing the crowd at Spartan Stadium with his catches,
throws to the corner of the end zone. Touchdown! Who else? Nick Marsh.
Nick Marsh found his love for football while growing up in Detroit.
Nick was about 6 when I first got him started, and immediately when I took him to the field, he was already bigger than all the other 6-year-olds. But they say when they threw a ball to him, he was about 7 and he caught it with one hand, and they were like, let's keep this going.
Nick's talents quickly got noticed, and he received a college football offer when he was in the 8th grade. Marsh then started to get a little more attention during his freshman season at River Rouge High School when he helped the Panthers reach the state championship game.
Right when I went to River Rouge, I played football just to play football, and I never seen it as an opportunity to change my family life at first, and then I started realizing the attention I got from it, and I realized it was going to be a big impact on my life and my family's life. So I started to take the game serious and use that as my motivation to continue to push and grow in football, and it became a game that I love, and I'm able to help my family now.
Growing up in Detroit, life wasn't always easy for Marsh. His mother, Yolanda Wilson, was a young single mother raising 4 kids, and there was plenty of adversity the 5 of them went through together.
Being homeless, not having hot water sometimes, not having water sometimes, having to go to neighbor houses and, use their water. And, just growing up, that was pretty tough. So, it's traumatizing as a kid, and you never want to go back to that.
I think before we moved to River Rouge, Nick was probably in 7th grade. And the neighborhood was so bad, so much was going on. I worked a lot during those times when he was in middle school.
As a result, football became a safe place for Nick. His mother made sure he and his siblings did something like playing a sport to avoid going down the wrong path in life.
It was more of an escape. He didn't have to deal with the gangs or anything in the neighborhood. He knew he was safe. He knew he was going to be okay. If you let your children fall by the wayside, they're going to fall by the wayside. So I was already determined then, like, nope. It'll be days where Nick was like, oh, Mom, I don't think I want to do this, or I'm too tired. And I'm like, well, you got to do it.
You know, it's a lot of adversity with coming up, growing in Detroit, and, you know, I feel like, you know, that shaped me into who I am. You know, just being able to see a lot of things at a young age, you know, grow up a little bit faster, you know, just mature a little bit quickly. And I think it's, you know, grown into something beautiful here.
The mature and humble young man Marsh grew into led to him being a 4-star recruit by his senior year at River Rouge. His recruitment was intense, with offers from Michigan State, Penn State, Oregon, and Michigan. Marsh committed to Michigan State in July of 2023, and less than 3 months later, the Spartans were in search of a new head coach. Jonathan Smith got hired in November of 2023, and his first recruiting priority was Marsh.
Jonathan Smith got on a plane and came directly to Nick's high school at River Rouge. That was his very first stop. That alone to me was like, oh, I'm serious about, you know, still recruiting this guy, still wanting him. He was a very big priority.
Marsh ultimately signed with the Spartans and quickly made a name for himself.
Nick Marsh is open downfield.
In the second game of his college career, Marsh had 8 catches for 194 receiving yards and 1 touchdown in a win at Maryland. The 194 receiving yards were the second most ever for a Spartan freshman wide receiver.
He is one of the coolest, humble kids, hard workers that you'll meet. Like I said, he's coming off this huge game. You would think he only caught 1 pass. He's sitting in the front row. He's stayed after taking extra notes. He's just being Nick Marsh. His mom did a tremendous job with him.
By season's end, Marsh set the true freshman record at Michigan State for receiving yards in a single season.
I didn't expect to, you know, touch the field. You know, as a freshman, you know, you got a lot of older guys in front of you, and it's just a tradition of how they do things here. And you know, I wasn't expecting to play as much, and you know, I put my all into it during the off season and was able to, you know, have the opportunity to touch the field. So you know, it's a blessing.
Due to the success he saw as a freshman and players being able to earn money off their name, image, and likeness, other programs reached out to Marsh about leaving Michigan State for more money. With his mother's guidance, Nick chose to remain a Spartan and continue a legacy in East Lansing with a staff that believed in him from day one.
We come from not having much, right? And so that's something I've always instilled in them, those values, those morals. It doesn't matter what heights you make it to, never forget who you are, where you come from.
I'm out here doing this for you, Ma. I love you. I'm out here doing this for you. You know, I'm able to do more things that I wasn't able to before, but you know, I stay humble, stay to the grind, because you know it can easily, you know, deter how you think. And you know, my mom keeps that in the back of my head as well. You know, she's always on my butt. But you know, it's a blessing and a big opportunity. You know, I just want to do the right things with it.
Marsh's mom has become very popular on social media with the MSU community for her support of Nick as well as the football program. Nick's nickname growing up was Megatron. His mom's nickname on social media, Mamatron. Coming up after the break, we're going to be sitting down with head coach Jonathan Smith to talk about the win over Western Michigan as well as Saturday's game against Boston College. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
A 4-point loss at Boston College last season was Michigan State's smallest margin of defeat. MSU gave up the lead with 1.5 minutes to go, and then quarterback Aiden Childs threw an interception with less than a minute remaining in the game. We had a chance this week to sit down with MSU head coach Jonathan Smith to talk about that game against the Eagles, as well as the season opening victory the Spartans had against Western Michigan. start off the season 1-0. What did you like about the win over Western Michigan just overall?
Yeah, I think, the effort the guys played with, I did think that showed us, especially on the defensive side from the first quarter to the fourth quarter. The start, I think, was really important offensively to be able to take that lead and get the crowd into it. That first half, some execution, longer drives, right? This wasn't just one play for a touchdown, multiple play, longer drives, so you liked kind of that. Special teams wise, especially in game ones, there can be some mishaps in special teams. I thought we were pretty solid throughout the night, changed the game with our punt unit on a couple of those, pinning them deep in their own area. So a lot to like there. Second half on offense, some things to clean up. Just our consistency wasn't nearly where it was in the first half, and so that's what, learning a bunch from game one and trying to improve on in game two.
Yeah, defensively, you mentioned going into that game that they have a running back, Jalen Buckley, who's like a Big Ten back. Yes. You guys held him to 21 yards, and you played 30 guys on defense. Is that sort of what we can expect throughout the season?
Well, we're hoping to do that in regards, especially on the run game side, right? I think you try to make people one-dimensional. Did a nice job in the run game because he's good back. Their quarterbacks could carry it, and that was a concern, and they got out on us a couple of times, but really was happy with the response defensively too. They made a couple plays, and then to respond back and keep them out of the end zone was huge.
And then for your running backs with Mekhi and Brandon, what did you like overall about the way they were running the ball?
I thought they carried it with some confidence. Kind of their first time getting the majority of the carries in a college game. Mekhi got us started early. Brandon gets the longer touchdown run, so that was good to see. There'll be some learning too on there, just trusting some of the things going on up front. But both those guys, I thought, made it physical, did a good job with carrying the ball security wise. So some good things there.
Both those guys are guys that you recruited originally when you were at Oregon State, correct?
Correct.
How did you, discover them? Was it like kind of one with the other? Because I know they only had a high school 20 miles apart.
Yeah. It starts with, Coach Bonifant, our running back coach, does a nice job evaluating and building relationships, getting to know these guys. State of Texas in general has got some good players, both of them out of that state, and so that was the initial kind of identification. Then you build a relationship with guys over a longer period of time. So we're glad they're here.
How do they complement one another too? I feel like Mekhi is more of like that physical runner in a way too.
I think both of them can be physical. I think probably side to side, Mekhi's got a little bit more to him. Brandon, when he gets himself behind his pads, can be pretty physical. He's a bigger back. Both of them pretty good catching the ball, and so I think they complement each other that way of just being well-rounded.
You mentioned in your press conference earlier about with Aiden, you liked the way he played in the first half, and you said he had his eyes down a little bit too much.
I think he's critical at a quarterback. You're playing with your eyes up, and then as that second half went on, and protection, really they got on edges, didn't do a great job in protection. And I think just knowing the competitor and talking to him, he's really hard on himself. Well, there's a couple snaps. He's got to trust what's going on in front of him and keep his eyes up down the field, not worrying about what the guys in front are doing.
Did you get a sense too that he was a little more comfortable, whether it was last year's season opener compared to this one, or just last year in general?
I do, because that energy early on. The ovation he gets on the just the announcement of the starting lineups from that student section. There was a bunch of energy there. I thought he was pretty cool, composed, competing, watching him carry the ball a couple of times, extending. That's part of his game. I thought he did a nice job with the ball, his decision making. Right, there wasn't a ton of that potentially could have been picked. He was on the interception side clean. So there was growth there.
Him and Amari Kelly, I know him and Nick Marsh obviously have this big relationship, but where have you seen that relationship with Amari too also blossom?
Amari can make some plays, and I look at some of those short throws we throw to Amari. Nick Marsh is the one blocking for him.
What has Amari done to maybe help Nick out too?
I think he's just having Batman and Robin type of thing. Amari's pretty explosive, good hands. I think he's got some leadership qualities in that room because of his experience and his voice. He's pretty competitive. You always want to have a few guys bring some energy and a voice to that side of the ball, and Amari's doing it.
Now, as you get ready for Boston College, obviously an opponent you played last year, what stands out about them that maybe is different or maybe similar to last year?
I think there's some similarities just watching their game one. Well coached, schematically challenging you, physical on both sides of the ball. Receiver play, they got some good wideouts, and the guy had a good game against us last year. That's similar. I think each year is new, right? It's a new, different quarterback. Each staff, have some continuity there, but there's always some new tweaks.
Where do you feel like too that game is that sort of last year's game motivating this group now heading into this week?
We don't do a ton of like, hey, last year this happened, so that should add to our motivation. We definitely learn from last year. We got a decent amount of new players, right, who didn't experience it. Road game, but we're definitely going to be watching that tape, schematics, situations that came up where they're talking 2 minutes, they didn't finish, ball security in the special teams side. So we're trying to learn from it.
Seemed like that was too a game where Aiden, afterwards he learned a lot from that one. Maybe started to turn that corner with the interceptions. Do you get a sense that was the game that kind of maybe sparked maybe some growth?
I think there's some pain in the game because of a couple of plays in that one. I think he digested a lot of the first half of the season and learning from. And so, we're a repeat opponent, and there was particulars to that game, but I think it's more of the first half of the season.
Kickoff between MSU and Boston College is set for 7:30 this Saturday. And then next week, MSU will be right back at home to take on Youngstown State. It's also the week MSU will be inducting 5 former student athletes and 1 legendary coach in Mark D'Antonio into its Athletics Hall of Fame. We'll have more on that in the future. That'll be it for this week's show. As always, we hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you next week.
Now, the play of the week, sponsored by Schupan & Sons.
Childs, pressure coming, lets it go, has a man, touchdown, Michigan State, it's Nick Marsh.
When you're shopping, do you get cash back with cash?
Nope.
What about when you use a debit card?
Not a chance.
But when you use MSU FCU's Cashback Plus?
Heck yeah.
Get up to 20% cash back on your purchases with Cashback Plus. Dining out? Cash back. Online shopping? Cash back. Home improvement? Cash back. Discover more at msufcu.org/cashbackplus.